Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me. I am still Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com. It is still in the description below. Your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any of our platforms. Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for pricing. Today, we are discussing a fascinating 2023 limited edition of 25 pieces launched by Angelus and created in collaboration with Waco of Revolution magazine. This is the Chronodate Angel's Share. So the Chronodate launched in 2022, 80 years after the original Angelus Chronodate movement, which combined calendar and chronograph. This is a very modern watch that uses the case of an Angelus tourbillon watch with a fascinating calendar dial here in 6N rose gold plating. And it is the Angel's Share model, which means a 25-piece limited edition created in conjunction with Waco of Revolution. The watch is 42.5 millimeters in diameter, 14.5 millimeters thick, 51.1 from lug tip to lug tip, and again, this is all in grade 5 titanium. On my wrist, which is 16 centimeters in circumference, the watch wears well. You can see that the lugs are canted down, which helps it to fit better on a smallish wrist like mine. My wrist is 16 centimeters, and I think if your wrist is my size or larger, you're going to wear this well. It's very light, but it does take up a lot of wrist real estate. Now, it's not particularly thick. While it's not thin either, this will fit underneath a lot of sleeves and just about all jackets. The watch is light, wieldy, comfortable. It has a ballistic rubber strap. It actually looks like it might be textile, but it's molded rubber. You can see very thick on the bottom, slick, Angelus logo. We have a quick release system where you press the button and then you can remove the strap, and you can use Angelus replacement straps to dress it up or dress it down. Other materials and colors are available. Here we have a deployant clasp that's designed to echo the profile of the case itself. So nice design parallelism. Here you can see we have polish, we have media blast, and we have satin. We have a trigger release system, so you have to press both triggers for it to open up. It won't do so inadvertently. And then once you're inside, you can see it is a double fold with the Angelus logo and ceramic spring-loaded pin snaps. So over time, the tolerance will remain snappy and undiminished as these components cannot wear down. You can see the signature Angelus screws, and they are used elsewhere here to protect the watch from tampering, but also because in the hands of a watchmaker with the proper tool, they can take more torque than a flathead without stripping out. 30 meters water resistant, 25-piece limited edition, all in titanium. You can see we have the inner case blackened for contrast, outboard mostly satinated, though with some polished highlights, well chosen. You can see that the timepiece features an open, airy, prismatic aesthetic, and that we have blackened triggers that are labeled stop, start, and reset, probably superfluously, but they add a little bit of color. We have the Angelus logo. The crown features a polymer shoulder on its side. Then we have a dramatically boxed and cambered sapphire that sits inboard of a serrated bezel. You can see that there's a black plinth underneath the bezel that gives us a nice tonal contrast and visually breaks up the blockish case. Now the dial, which is brass, is coated in 6N red gold to make it not just considerably redder than conventional pink or rose gold, but also to evoke the red wine grown at the vineyards that surround Chateau Angelus in Bordeaux. That is actually the namesake of the watch brand, and it is also the inspiration for the watch. Not just the red color, but also the Angel's Share terminology that is said to be the measurable mass of the wine that evaporates during the aging process. It is said to be the Angel's Share because it disappears without a trace. And so Waco drew on that dramatic imagery and romantic history to create the Chronodate Angel's Share that you see right here. The watch does include a caliber 500. Now this is of course Angelus, which is one of two brands marketed by the manufacturer La Jouperet out of La Chaux-de-Fonds. One is Arnold & Son, which is low volume. The other is Angelus, which is super low volume. So if Arnold is 1,000 watches a year, then Angelus is at most 200, 300. That's the scale. But because La Joux is famous for modifying Valjoux architectures. What we have here is very distantly related to a Valjoux 7750. Watchmakers familiar will already recognize things like the winding bridge, the oscillating pinion clutch sticking just out from under its bridge. You can see the little wire spring for the clutch that's well known to connoisseurs of this movement. You can also see things like the column wheel replacing the traditional cam, but it's in the same place. You can see the start-stop lever, you can see the hammer, you can see the recentering lever and its hammer. There's a lot going on here that's familiar to people who love the 7750, but there are big upgrades, including the column wheel instead of a cam to make for much crisper actuation, and a 60-hour power reserve instead of 42, which is always nice to have. It beats away at 4 hertz. You can see this is called caliber 500. It is larger in diameter, so it better fills the case back. You can see there's a combination of media blast, solarization, satination, snailing, black polishing, and beveling, and it's quite attractive. You can see the spring that drops the hammer to reset the hard cams. And if you look carefully, you can see little things like the recentering hammer. It's been beveled on the edge of its satinated steel top, really well detailed. One of the most whimsical features of this watch is the fact that it does have case-back luminescence. Celestial inspiration. It's also the Revolution magazine star. Turn it over. You can see the dial side gives you enough luminescence that you can easily read it. And of course, this being a column wheel, the feel and the sound of operating the chronograph is outstanding. But also, it is an oscillating pinion clutch, which is a type of lateral clutch that has very little play. So typically, when you press and hold to start a oscillating pinion clutch, you don't get a lot of jump when you activate the chronograph. It's a lot more seamless. It's almost like a vertical clutch in that regard. And then the watch does have hacking seconds, so you can stop the seconds hand and set the watch precisely to a reference time. You can also use a quick set mechanism to rapidly set the skeletonized red varnished pointer style date. And of course, we have the Angelus logo, which is that little wall and roof profile like a structure, and that structure is Chateau Angelus amid the Bordeaux vineyards. The timepiece does feature applied numerals on the dial for a nice upscale look. No printed or transferred features here. We have 2 dished sub-registers for seconds and minutes with concentric scales and board, and then we have these modified baton and syringe hybrid hands. You can see that all hands at center feature a lovely and gentle satination on their silvered surfaces. If you love this watch, reach out to me. I am T. Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.